My name is Catherine Welling and I've been a journalist for almost 40 years. I trained at Oxford in the United Kingdom and worked for the Oxford Mail and Times, where I was a court reporter and council reporter, and I had my own patch, which was the car makers area of Blackbird Leys. I then came to Australia, worked briefly for the Sydney Morning Herald and worked for the Australians as a medical reporter. But for the last 20 odd years I've been working for the community paper The Manly Daily. I've worked as a reporter there, as the news editor, and more recently as the real estate editor. I became a reporter primarily because my mother was a reporter, and she often got herself into a pickle and she was a freelancer and she would have two jobs on at the same time. So quite unethically, she would pretend that I was her. And so I would be dragged out of school and had to put on a suit and makeup and be sent along to interview people pretending I was Marion Cox, who was my mother. And I enjoyed it so much. I'm quite nosy, I'm a chatterbox, I love telling stories, I'm a raconteur. So it suited my personality. I had a little bit of experience through my mother, and so I went to university and then did a postgraduate qualification in journalism. So if you've got a young, pretty girl in your newsroom, you're going to, when it comes to choosing someone who's going to go and interview a difficult actor or a top leader, you're going to look at your newsroom and think, oh, who have I got who's going to get the best story for me? And if that means potentially playing the gender card. One of the most outrageous examples of exploitating gender would be a friend of mine who's still working in the industry, so I won't name her. But in 1999 she was working for News of the World in London, and she was young, pretty, blonde, legs up to her armpits, and she was asked to be involved in a honey trap. The English rugby captain, it was rumoured, was doing drugs. So she posed as a sports executive with somebody else, and met this guy who's now, I think, Lorizio, I think, I can't remember. Anyway, she met him in a hotel room, talking about sport, sponsorship, and drinks, and one thing led to another, and she was deliberately flirting with him, being coquettish, trying to draw him out to see whether she could get some dirt on him. And dirt she got, because she managed to get him to reveal that he was a cocaine addict, that he dealed drugs, that he did drugs, that he had an orgy with 12 Dutch prostitutes. She got the lot. And then, of course, she went back to her paper and delivered his balls up on a plate. And it went everywhere. It was a front page lead, and of course it was the end of his career, end of his marriage. You are going to do all that you can to use the best resources that you have to hand to extract that story. And if that means using, a female interviewing a male, or using a young man interviewing, a man, you're gonna look at what you've got and try and you put your best reporter or candidate forward to get the story that you're looking for. What happened is competition became more and more fierce. Papers started to decline in readership as people became busy and started watching television, and then that followed on to website, and so people became more desperate to make money, to get the stories, to be first, and so you then had the slippery slope of paying for stories, ripping other people off, paying corrupt police for tip-offs, paying spot fees, and the whole industry sort of collapsed in a morass of just totally irresponsible reporting. So our code, the Journalist Code of Ethics, means that you must tell the truth, you must be fair, you must be accurate, you mustn't do things out of fear or for favour.